Have you ever stood up from your chair and felt just a little lightheaded? Maybe you walked into a room and couldn't remember why. Or you reached for a familiar word, but it just didn't come. And like many of us, you brushed it off. It's just aging, we say. Senior moments. But what if those quiet changes were your brain's way of whispering something more? You didn't fall. You didn't slur your speech. You didn't collapse. So, of course, you moved on. But here's something we need to start saying out loud, especially after 60. Stroke doesn't always begin with drama. Sometimes it begins in silence. No numb arm, no twisted smile. Just a moment of dizziness, a missed word, a dry mouth that lingers. And slowly, day by day, your body builds towards something, without ever sounding an alarm. That's what makes stroke so dangerous for older adults. It's not just an event, it's a process. A slow erosion of strength, clarity, and circulation, happening beneath the surface. And unless we learn to recognize the quiet signals, we may not get a second chance to respond. But here's the good news. Just as stroke can build silently, so can your defense against it. And it starts not with surgery, not with expensive treatments, but with noticing, with listening, with learning the small things that matter more than we think. Today, we'll walk through 7 hidden triggers of stroke that often go unnoticed in seniors. Not to alarm you, but to empower you, so that instead of waiting for a crisis, you can begin strengthening your protection. Quietly, steadily, confidently. Because you deserve more than just getting older. You deserve clarity. You deserve strength. You deserve the knowledge that helps you stay in control. Let's begin. And we'll start not with your heart or your brain, but with something as simple as water. You probably drink when you're thirsty. A glass of water with your pills. Maybe a cup of tea in the afternoon. It seems like enough, right? But here's something many people over 60 don't realize. Our sense of thirst fades as we age. That means your body could be running low on water without sending a clear signal. Not because you're neglecting it, but because it stopped reminding you. Now think about this. Have you ever gotten out of bed and felt a bit dizzy for a few seconds? Felt tired halfway through the morning without knowing why? Had a headache that just lingered in the background? These might not be signs of age. They might be your body's quiet way of saying, I need more water. You see, dehydration doesn't always feel dramatic. It's not always dry lips or extreme thirst. Sometimes it's mental fog, cramps in your legs at night, or that moment when your memory feels just a little slower than usual. And here's where it becomes serious. When your body doesn't have enough fluid, your blood becomes thicker. That thicker blood moves more slowly. It's harder to pump, and it becomes more likely to clot. A small clot, formed quietly, could travel to your brain and change everything. In fact, nearly 40% of older adults are chronically dehydrated without knowing it. That's according to the National Institutes of Health. It doesn't just affect how you feel. It affects how your brain functions, how your heart circulates blood, and how your body maintains balance. So, what can you do? Instead of waiting for thirst, create a rhythm. Start your morning with a full glass of water. Before your coffee, before anything else. Set gentle reminders to sip throughout the day, even if you don't feel thirsty. Add slices of lemon or berries to make it enjoyable. And watch for the bathroom test. If your urine is dark yellow, your body is asking for help. Because staying hydrated isn't about drinking gallons. It's about giving your brain and heart what they need to keep protecting you. Quietly, powerfully. And sometimes, preventing a stroke starts not with a test, but with a single glass of water. Have you ever paused mid-sentence, reaching for a word that just wouldn't come? Or felt a strange heaviness in your legs, even after a full night's sleep? Maybe you've stepped off a curb and felt just a little unsure. It's easy to chalk these moments up to just getting older. But what if the real problem is a missing vitamin? Vitamin B12 is something your body absolutely needs, especially after 60. It helps protect your nerves. It supports memory and mood. It even plays a role in red blood cell production. But most importantly, it helps lower something called homocysteine. That's a compound in your blood that, when left unchecked, can quietly damage the lining of your arteries. And damaged arteries? That's one of the key roads to stroke. Here's what many people don't realize. After 60, your stomach starts producing less acid. And that acid is what helps you absorb B12 from food. So even if you eat well, even if you take care of yourself, your body might not be getting enough of this vital nutrient. That's why B12 deficiency is often called the invisible drain. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't cause a fever, but it slowly pulls energy from your mind and movement from your body. Do any of these sound familiar? Tingling or numbness in your hands or feet? Fatigue that doesn't go away with rest? Feeling mentally foggy? Mood swings? Or just feeling low for no clear reason? You might think it's age, but it could be B12. The good news? It's easy to check and easy to fix. Ask your doctor for 2 simple blood tests, one for B12, one for homocysteine. If your levels are low, a daily supplement, 250 to 500 micrograms, is often enough. Choose the methylcobalamin form. It absorbs better. If digestion is an issue, sublingual tablets or sprays can help. And in more serious cases, your doctor may suggest monthly injections. Pair your B12 with folate and vitamin B6. These 3 work together like a quiet team, protecting your blood vessels and keeping your brain sharp. Because instead of living in the fog, you can live in clarity. Instead of accepting weakness, you can rebuild strength. And sometimes, the bridge between confusion and confidence is just one small vitamin. Do you ever wake up feeling like you didn't sleep at all? You went to bed on time, stayed in bed for 8 hours, but still, the morning greets you with a heavy head, dry mouth, or a mind that feels foggy before the day even begins. It's tempting to say, that's just what getting older feels like. But what if it's not age? What if it's how you breathe at night? Sleep apnea is a condition where your breathing stops and starts, over and over, while you sleep. Sometimes it's just a few seconds, sometimes longer. And here's the surprising part. You may never even realize it's happening. Each time your breathing pauses, your brain sounds an internal alarm. It pulls you out of deep sleep just enough to get the air flowing again. You don't fully wake up, but your body does. And it adds up. This constant disruption keeps your brain from healing. It stresses your heart. It raises your blood pressure, especially in the early morning hours. And over time, it can triple your risk of stroke. That's not a guess. That's from the American Heart Association. Now, many people think sleep apnea always comes with loud snoring or choking sounds. Sometimes it does. But for seniors, it can look quieter, more subtle. Maybe you wake up to use the bathroom multiple times a night, or feel unusually tired by lunchtime, or your memory slips a bit more than usual. These can all be signs your brain isn't getting enough oxygen at night. So, what can you do? Start by listening to your body. If your sleep doesn't feel restful, talk to your doctor about a sleep study. Many of these tests can now be done at home with a simple overnight device. If you're diagnosed, don't panic. Treatment options are available. CPAP machines gently keep your airway open. There are also oral devices, weight management strategies, or simply changing your sleeping position to your side instead of your back. Even without a diagnosis, small bedtime shifts can help. Keep a regular sleep schedule. Avoid caffeine after 2 p.m. Make your bedroom cool and quiet. Try a little stretching or a warm tea before bed. Because sleep isn't just rest, it's recovery. And instead of waking up tired, imagine starting your day with real energy. Instead of slow thinking, picture a brain that's fully refreshed. The difference could be as simple as one night of better breathing. Think about your average day. You wake up, sit for breakfast. Maybe you read the paper, watch the news, check your messages. Then lunch comes, and again, you're seated. Maybe a little TV in the afternoon. Dinner. And by the end of the day, you realize you barely stood at all. Does that sound familiar? It's easy to see sitting as rest. And after 60, rest feels well-earned. But what if that comfort, those long stretches of stillness, were quietly harming your circulation? The truth is, sitting too much can become a slow killer of brain health. Here's why. When you sit for long periods without moving, blood pools in your lower legs. Your heart has to work harder to push it back up. Blood flow slows, and slower blood makes it easier for tiny clots to form, especially in your legs and pelvis. If one of those clots breaks free and travels to your brain, it can block an artery and cause a stroke, even if your blood pressure is perfectly normal. It's not about how much you move overall. It's about how long you stay still. A study from the American Stroke Association found that seniors who sit more than 8 hours a day, even those who exercise occasionally, have a significantly higher risk of stroke. Why? Because even a walk in the morning doesn't undo 8 hours of stillness afterward. So how can you change it without joining a gym or running laps? The answer is simple. Interrupt the stillness. Stand up every 30 to 60 minutes. Set a timer if you need to. March in place during commercials. Use a foot pedal or a mini bike under your chair. If the phone rings, make that your cue to stand and walk a few steps. Even elevating your feet for a while each afternoon can help prevent blood from pooling in your legs. Because movement doesn't have to be strenuous to be powerful. It just has to be consistent. Instead of waiting for stiffness, choose to stretch before it sets in. Instead of letting your blood slow down, remind it, gently, to keep flowing. And every time you rise from your chair, you're not just moving your body. You're protecting your brain. You've made smart choices. You don't add salt to your food. You avoid chips, frozen dinners, fast food. Maybe you even reach for low-fat soups, whole grain crackers, and heart-healthy frozen meals. So, your sodium must be under control. Right? Not always. The surprising truth is, some of the saltiest foods don't taste salty at all. Sodium hides in foods labeled healthy, low-fat, or even heart-smart. And for older adults, this hidden salt can quietly raise blood pressure, damaging arteries and setting the stage for stroke. As we age, our blood vessels become less flexible. They don't relax as easily as they used to. So when sodium sneaks in, it causes bigger pressure spikes, especially in the brain. That's why high blood pressure remains the #1 most common cause of stroke in seniors. But here's the catch. Many people over 60 who think they eat healthy are still consuming twice as much sodium as recommended, without even knowing it. Let's take a closer look. Canned soups, even low-fat or light varieties, can pack over 800 milliliters of sodium per serving. Whole grain bread? Some slices have 200 milliliters or more. Cottage cheese, turkey deli meat, rotisserie chicken, veggie burgers, plant-based meals, flavored oatmeal. All of them can carry sodium loads that add up fast, and most of us eat more than one serving. So what's the fix? It's not about cutting flavor. It's about reading labels. Look for foods with 140 milliliters of sodium or less per serving. That's considered low sodium. Rinse canned vegetables and beans before cooking. They can lose up to 40% of the added salt. Choose no salt-added versions of tomato sauces and broths. Use herbs and spices like garlic, rosemary, turmeric, or lemon to build flavor without pressure. A smart tip? Keep a sodium diary for just 3 days. Write down what you eat. Then look up the sodium content. What you learn might surprise you, but it could also protect you. Because instead of letting salt hide in your habits, you can make it visible. Instead of giving up flavor, you can choose it more wisely. And that simple awareness might just be the step that saves your next brain scan from showing something you can't undo. Have you ever felt your heart flutter just for a second? Maybe it skipped a beat. Maybe it sped up. Or maybe you didn't feel anything at all. That's what makes atrial fibrillation, or AFib, so dangerous. It's a heart rhythm condition that often hides in plain sight. And in older adults, it can quietly increase the risk of stroke by up to 5 times. Here's how it works. In a healthy heart, the top chambers, the atria, beat smoothly, pushing blood down into the lower chambers. But with AFib, those upper chambers begin to quiver instead of beat. Blood doesn't flow like it should. It lingers. And when blood sits still, clots can form. Now imagine one of those clots traveling upward, into your brain, blocking a vessel. That's an ischemic stroke. And when AFib is the cause, it tends to be more severe, more disabling, more deadly. You might expect to feel a pounding chest, but many older adults feel nothing, or they notice only subtle changes, a little shortness of breath after mild activity, lightheadedness when standing, a strange sense of fatigue that doesn't match the day. Sometimes it's a spouse who notices, watching you sleep and seeing your chest pause or flutter. So how do you find something so quiet? Start with your pulse. Place your fingers on your wrist once a day. Feel for irregularity. If it skips, speeds up, or feels uneven, don't ignore it. Ask your doctor for an EKG, a simple test that reads your heart's rhythm. If needed, they might give you a 24-hour monitor to wear at home. It's painless, and it could be life-saving. If diagnosed, treatment is highly effective. Blood thinners like Eliquis or Xarelto can prevent clots. Medications can regulate your heart rate. Procedures like cardioversion or ablation may be recommended in more persistent cases. And don't forget lifestyle support. Limiting alcohol, managing stress, and even sleeping better can help. Because instead of letting a silent rhythm guide your future, you can take control of the beat. And in the quiet of your chest, you can choose something steadier, something safer. One steady pulse at a time. Do you ever feel like you're carrying something heavy, but no one else can see it? A worry you haven't spoken aloud. A sadness you don't quite know how to name. A feeling that lingers in the background of your day. Every day. That's chronic stress. And while it doesn't make the news like blood pressure or cholesterol, it may be just as dangerous, especially for the heart and brain. When you live under constant stress, emotional weight that never quite lifts, your brain tells your body to stay on alert. It releases cortisol, the main stress hormone. In small doses, cortisol helps you react and recover. But when stress becomes your daily state, cortisol stays elevated, and that creates problems. Chronic stress raises blood pressure. It increases inflammation in your blood vessels. It elevates blood sugar and cholesterol. It weakens the immune system. And over time, this chemistry shift wears down the very systems designed to protect you. It makes your arteries more fragile, your heart more tense, your body more prone to clotting and stroke. And here's the quiet tragedy. Many seniors carry their stress in silence. After all, you've lived through so much. You've lost friends, faced illness, cared for others, dealt with uncertainty. Maybe you've felt that sharing your worry would burden someone else, but holding it in doesn't make it disappear. It just buries it deeper into the body, where it can do real harm. So what can you do? You don't need to fix everything overnight, but you do need an outlet. Start with 5 minutes a day. Walk outside and let nature breathe with you. Write a single thought in a notebook. Breathe deeply, in through your nose, out through your mouth. 5 slow times. Listen to soft music. Talk to someone who listens without fixing. Create a pause after meals. A moment that tells your heart, you're safe. Because instead of letting stress build inside, you can begin to let it go, bit by bit, breath by breath. And in doing so, you don't just protect your mood. You protect your heart, your mind, your future. Let's return to where we began. That quiet moment when you stood up and felt lightheaded. When a word slipped from your memory. When you chalked it all up to just getting older. But now you know better. These small signals aren't always harmless. Sometimes they're the body's quiet call for help. A whisper before the storm. A chance to act before something more serious arrives. Because stroke doesn't just happen. It builds over weeks, months, even years, through triggers we often ignore. But the beauty is, prevention can build too. And it starts with awareness. You don't need a perfect lifestyle. You don't need to fix everything overnight. What you need is to notice, to shift one habit, to listen to one symptom, to choose one step each day toward better health. If this video helped bring clarity, if it gave you something to think about or something to act on, then please take one more small step. Like this video, so more people see it. Subscribe to Senior Health Tips for weekly guidance made for you. And share this video with someone you care about. Because the smallest actions can ripple outward. And sometimes, one gentle video can change more than just a day. It can change a life. Until next time, stay informed, stay strong, and above all, stay kind to yourself.